My people. All right, we were live here on YouTube. Got X going. Let's get Instagram going. All right, we're good. What is going on, everybody? Thank you very much for tuning in. Lakers dominate the Warriors 134-96. All right, probably not going to throw too many punches for. How bad are the Wizards? Have you guys seen a worse team, worse franchise than the Washington Wizards? My God, they're awful. I don't think it matters. I think Lakers will take it, run with it. Obviously to try to kind of continue doing what they're doing here and make things happen without Anthony Davis. Any W without Anthony Davis is a good W. I actually genuinely mean that. Now, if there's any justification for losing a game without, obviously without Anthony Davis or without AD against the Wizards, yeah, there's no justification for that. Appreciate you guys being a part of the post-game show. Early one today. What time is it? 6:30, 6:35, and we're going. We got a lot to get into tonight. We got just give everyone just kind of a quick rundown what we'll spend some time on. Just about the win overall for the Lakers and looking at the schedule, how many games they have between now and the All-Star break, and what's the goal if Anthony Davis doesn't play in any of these games. We'll spend a little bit of time on that. 7 guys in double figures for the Lakers. I'll spend some time talking about Rui. I'll spend some time talking about Shake Milton. I'll spend some time talking about some of the other players for the Lakers that contributed. Also, don't forget, Lakers were missing Dorian Finney-Smith. They were missing Gabe Vincent. So a couple other key players that were out. Bron had himself a game. We'll spend a little time on just kind of gauging a Lakers W and what kind of wins they can get if Anthony Davis is not there for this small portion of time. A little bit of Bronny, a little bit Lakers Knicks, and then we'll move on. So thank you very much for being a part of the show. Please subscribe to the channel if you guys don't mind, and we'll get things rolling here. Lakers needed a win like this, and let me tell you what I mean by that. When Anthony Davis doesn't play a game and Washington's awful. So what I think 15, 16 in a row they've lost. They're just incredibly awful. Just a very poorly run organization. But who cares? If you can get a W and you can get a win, and you could do it convincingly the way the Lakers did it, to where they really didn't have to worry about anything in the fourth quarter. Really didn't have to worry about anything by the time it was halftime. They're up 30 plus by the time it's halftime. End of the first quarter, they're up 13. Then they outscore them by 20 in the second quarter. So just completely 33-point lead going into halftime. I think it's just good for a lot of these other players. You want to see Rui have a night like tonight. You want to see Jackson Hayes have a night like he did tonight. Austin Reeves, I'm not worried about. Really, frankly, to be honest with you, I don't think I'm really all that worried about Max Christie as well. You want to see Shake Milton build a little bit of confidence. Even Dalton Connect, who had 10 and then got kicked out of the game. That was interesting. It's important for some of these other players to see, just to have some kind of confidence as they continue to try to contribute and as the pressure is there on some of these Laker players. Let me cut myself off here real quick. Let's go and take a quick listen to JJ Redick, who's talking right now. Get his thoughts on the game.
Overall, just execution was great. And then, it's a big deal when 3 of your top 7 guys are out of the lineup and you can bring guys in that haven't necessarily been in the rotation and they make a big impact. I thought Shake in particular led that. Just a great spirit and energy, got us organized, obviously scored the basketball as well. Trey was awesome. And that group, even just to finish those last, 10 minutes of the fourth, they just played the right way. And that was indicative of how we played the entire night. We played the right way on both ends. The guys should be proud of their effort and execution tonight.
A couple of days now before you get the Knicks on Sunday, and I'm sure you'll kind of wait and see for Gabe in terms of if you can come back. But is that part of what you just said? Is that part of what you want to try to take into that game against a team that's playing really well?
Yeah, I mean, every opponent is different, and I think our guys will be ready to go Saturday night against the Knicks in the Garden. hopefully, Doe is available. Hopefully Gabe is available. But if they're not, next man up and continue to play the right way, which is we did tonight.
I'll get one more question in.
You mentioned Shake and his spirit. Since joining the team, he's had his fair share of struggles. How has he maintained that spirit behind the scenes in terms of, and then obviously into the night that he had tonight for you guys?
Yeah, just, look, it's hard to get traded midseason. It's hard to get traded midseason than being in and out of a rotation. I think he just showed a very professional approach tonight.
All right, I'm going to stop it right there, and we'll keep rolling. I got a lot I want to get into, and then we'll listen to some of the players as the post-game show goes. So, all right, so as I was saying here, and they're talking about Shake Milton. You heard JJ say right out the gate that to miss 3 of your top 7 players and to have other guys step up, that's why I said that I don't really care who they played. I'll continue. I'm going to say this 14 times tonight. Wizards are awful. If I have confidence that I could be a general manager in the NBA, as does everyone in this chat, just by watching the Washington Wizards. I'm like, I could do that. I could run a team that's that bad. Just give me a shot to be this bad as a general manager. I don't know what the hell they're doing. Anyways, but the fact that the Wizards, even though it was the Wizards, I don't think it really matters that much. Just let's have players start gaining some confidence. And if Anthony Davis is going to miss a handful of games, I think a night like tonight can help some of these individual players against the Knicks coming up on Saturday. I'm not telling you they're going to beat the Knicks. I'm not expecting them to beat the Knicks. Frankly, I don't even know how close that game is going to be. I'll get into it later, but I don't expect that game to even be close without Anthony Davis. But it's also important to have individuals contribute. So let me give you guys a quick idea. Let's start actually here. Let me start with Shake Milton. Let me just start with Shake Milton. So Shake tonight, I love saying that. Shake Milton. I just want to say Shake more often. 7 of 8 from the field, got to the free throw line, hit 6 of 6 from the free throw line, and 21 points with 4 assists and 2 steals. I remember when the Lakers traded for Dorian Finney-Smith, there were a couple of different people that were like, hey, don't sleep on Shake Milton. Hey, this guy's actually, you know what? He was a bucket getter in Brooklyn, and I think he'll be able to help this Lakers team. I had a few different people tell me that off the air, and then some of, just the interaction with Laker fans, some of the chats. And I'm like, all right, let's see it. Okay. Like Lakers can use another ball handler. They need potentially somebody that can facilitate or create their own buckets or whatever. That's kind of what D'Angelo Russell was, right, for the Lakers, but a much better version or a more depending a version that was more established than a guy like Shake Milton. And then here we are kind of coming into tonight's game. I'm like, well, I don't know what everyone was talking about Shake Milton for. But JJ clearly doesn't see something and isn't giving him opportunities. To be honest with you, one of my frustrations, I put a video out, or no, I did my show this morning, and I kind of put one of those clips out. But in my show this morning, I was talking about how there was zero justification to give Bronny James 15 minutes and 4 minutes in that first quarter against the Philadelphia 76ers. And really what I was talking about, the point that I was trying to make, it's like, no, that guy's not supposed to be eating up real minutes. If you wanted to use as an example, why would Bronny James play twice the amount of minutes as Shake Milton on the game on Tuesday in Philly? How is that possible? How is that okay? It's not okay. That's the point I was making this morning. And you got to know what you have with Shake Milton. If there's opportunities that you're going to have to at least try, what can this player be? Those are the types of games that you're going to use him. You're going to use him maybe in some blowouts. Maybe you're going to use him in times where there isn't depth. A couple guys are missing. Gabe Vincent's been out. Let me try Shake Milton. Not let me try Bronny James. When I was talking about that this morning, I didn't know Shake Milton was going to go out and do what he did tonight. And I'm not here to tell you that Shake Milton's going to, on a night in, night out basis, he's going to go produce for the Lakers. But it's also part of JJ Redick's job to say, okay, this was one of the guys that was part of that deal. Let's see what I have with this guy. Let me see what I have with this guy. I don't need to know what Bronny James is. I already know what Bronny James is. He's a G League player. Shake Milton is a player that I'd make an argument for. Let's see what he has. See what he has. He had that opportunity tonight against, again, one of the worst teams in the worst team in the NBA by far. But a night like tonight can help shake Milton. A night like tonight can give him a little bit of confidence that if it's not the Knicks game or the Clippers game, maybe it's a game against the Golden State Warriors or the Utah Jazz they play a couple times before we get to the All-Star break. Let's see what we got with this guy. Let's see what we have with him. And tonight, I'm enjoying talking about him because other people were telling me, hey, I think this guy's going to be pretty good, but we haven't got a chance to see him play. So good to see Shake Milton. Hopefully good for his confidence as well. Let me talk about another player real quick, and I'll get to your guys' comments here in just a little bit. Let me talk about another player here real quick. Rui tonight. Incredibly aggressive, especially in that first half. Getting to the basket, hitting jumpers, 9 of 12 from the field, hit 4 3-pointers, had 22 points, had 4 rebounds in just 26 minutes of play. I think my conversations about Rui this year, I've used them a couple times. Number one, I think one of the things that I've said about Rui is you can't depend on him. He's not consistent. And the other time I've been bringing up Rui's name, if you heard me talk about Miles Turner these last couple of days, I keep saying, yeah, well, Rui's got to get involved. Or Bobby Marks put an article out on ESPN.com, and he talked about, hey, here's how the Lakers can get Miles Turner. It's gonna cost some Rui. It's going to cost some draft compensation. It's going to cost Jalen Hood-Schifino. That's how we've really been talking about Rui Hachimura. And I think most Laker fans feel the same way. I don't think there's, especially that you went out, you got Dorian Finney-Smith. Jared Vanderbilt is back in the lineup. We'll spend a little time on Vando in just a second as well. I think that's primarily been the conversation with Rui. It's not that Rui can't go off for 22 like he did tonight and go 9 of 12 from the field. I mean, that's an incredibly efficient night. That's not going to happen. You don't expect that. You don't shoot 75% from the field. The problem with Rui as a Laker has been, if he has a good night, we got to wait a couple of games to talk about him again. Or if we do talk about him, we say, well, you know what? He just wasn't making it happen. And frankly, it's nice for Rui to have a good night tonight because Anthony Davis isn't there. But we all know we need Rui to have good nights when AD is there as well and just have it be on a more consistent basis. But I'm going to give him credit as well. I mean, it's a part of my job. If I don't give Rui credit when he deserves credit, then I'm going to lose some of my credibility as well. Rui was fantastic tonight. He was super aggressive. You heard Stu Lance kind of go out of his way to talk about him and, clearly mention that his aggressiveness was helpful. So that was certainly great to see. Okay, I got a couple other players I want to talk about. I mentioned 7 players in double figures. When you're missing Anthony Davis, Dorian Finney-Smith, Gabe Vincent, you need a lot of guys to contribute. You need, a number of players to step up for the Lakers. Just nice to see that there was some balance, that, you weren't looking for Bron to have to drop 35 or Austin Reeves. If he doesn't give you 30 or 35, then this is a close game in the fourth quarter. It wasn't a game. The Wizards are now 6-40. I heard Billy Mack say in the broadcast that they started the season out 2-2. So they're 4-38 in their last 42 games. I did all that math in my head. I got to be honest with you. I'm a little impressed. For a second there, I'm like, let me get my calculator out. Let me figure out the math. Even with the Wizards the way they are, and, I haven't even looked at any of the comments. I'm sure there's going to be some people out there saying, yep, don't care, not a big deal. That's fine. But I think when you win without Anthony Davis and you just kind of try to rack up a W, I'll take it for those reasons. So Rui Hachimura I mentioned. I mentioned Shake Milton. A couple other players that I just want to mention as well. Jackson Hayes, a nice night, 10 points, 10 rebounds, and 3 block shots. Really outplayed Jonas Valanciunas. Tonight doesn't help my confidence in Jonas Valanciunas on the Lakers. I'll tell you that right now. 5 points, 1 of 8 from the field, and 3 rebounds. And that's without Anthony Davis on the floor. That's with Jackson Hayes out on the floor. That's not a good look for Jonas Valanciunas. Maybe Jonas doesn't want to be a Laker, and he's like, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and take this one. He didn't look good. He didn't look effective. He looked old. He looks old, and he's not that old. I want to say he's 32 now. But I've had a lot of Laker fans tell me this, and I think I'm starting to get sold. A couple of days ago, I'm like, are you really going to give up your 2 first-rounders for Miles Turner? Like, That's it. Those are the 2 first rounders that you have. Now that I think I kind of sit here, I'm like, well, if that's the price of doing business, then maybe you just got to go give up those 2 first rounders and call it a day. I'll talk a little Pelinka at the end here, so I want to save a little bit of that. But Jonas didn't look all that impressive at all. And I thought Jackson Hayes did he did a good job. I thought Jackson Hayes kind of held his own out there. I mentioned his stats, the 10 points, the 10 rebounds, and the 3 block shots. That's a good night for Jackson Hayes. Reeves, 17, 6 and 5, 6 of 14 from the field. So he was okay from the perimeter, but did hit 4 threes, which was nice to see. Max Christie, very controlled, business-like as usual, 4 of 7 from the field, 13 points. You know what I'm not hearing from a lot of Laker fans? I don't hear a lot of bitching about Max Christie. I think Laker fans are like, all right, yeah, I can work with this guy. Understanding that he's only 21 years old, understanding that there's only so much he's able to do at this stage of his career. But I don't feel like too many people have too much of an opinion on him one way or the other. I think they're just like, let this man kind of keep doing what he's doing and take it from there. All right, let's take a look at some of your guys' comments here, and then we'll talk a little LeBron as well. Let's see what we got here. Thank you all for being a part of the show. Never in doubt. Rob Pelinka's 11 assists to 1 turnover tonight really helped the Lakers win. I hope you're not being sarcastic there, because if you're talking Bron, I've had plenty of games where I had to talk about LeBron. By the way, I don't think he had a turnover. I've had plenty of games. Last game, he had 8 turnovers. Plenty of games where, clearly Bron has struggled from that department this year. If he doesn't have turnovers or very low in turnovers, you can't really ask for much more than that. AR, thank you for the super, brother. You're always very, very kind in that, so thank you very much for doing that. Slee, not bad at all. I can't wait Vando to come back in full force. Rob, what are you waiting for? Please, somebody ask that question. What are you waiting for? Please, somebody ask that question. All right, a couple things here. Yeah, listen, the Vando piece, how can you not be excited about Jared Vanderbilt when you got a player that has a specific role and it's not, I'm going to jack up 15, 20 shots a game? In the NBA, it's not common to have guys that want to play defense, that want to, they want to do the dirty work. They want to roll up their sleeves and say, hey, this is why I'm in the league. This is why I signed a 4-year contract with the Lakers. This is why other teams would love to have a player like me out here, is because I can do the dirty work and I don't need to do anything else. I play defense. I grab rebounds. So I think Vando's impact is only going to be felt more and more as the season progresses. So something to keep in mind there. The other part of your question about Rob Pelinka. Guys, I don't see a scenario that by the time we're 1 week from today, Lakers will be playing the Golden State Warriors at Crypto.com Arena 1 week from today at right around this time. I think they'll tip off at 7 o'clock. I don't see a scenario where Rob Pelinka is there for that game, addressing, obviously the media after the trade deadline without making another move. I just don't see it. I don't see it possible. I spent a whole video this morning talking about how, and you guys can go back to the channel, obviously, just so you guys know, I do a show Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. It usually goes an hour and 15 minutes. Go as long as we want to go, but minimum an hour. And I spent the whole video basically playing this out. I'm like, I don't see a scenario where Pelinka does not make a move. There's too much pressure on him. You got your star in Anthony Davis going public and saying, go get me another big. Are you really going to tick off your star and hold on to these draft picks that you were the one promoting these last couple of years, that you have these draft picks to go make a move? I don't see a scenario where we're all sitting here a week from tonight, where Rob Pelinka doesn't go out there and make a move. Just, it doesn't make any sense to me, and I don't see it happening. I just don't see it happening. So, AR, thank you for the super. I think it's just a matter of time. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe, he does nothing and I look like an idiot. But I think he'd kind of look like an idiot too, because he's the one that was saying that, we're going to wait till the summer. We're going to have 3 first rounders from there. I just find it very, very difficult to believe that the Lakers have not improved the roster, didn't go out and get a center. I find that very, very hard to believe. They're showing the 2025 NBA All-Star roster right now. Starters, Steph, Shea, KD, LeBron, and Nikola Jokic. And then the reserves, AD on that list with Anthony Edwards, James Harden, Jaren Jackson Jr., a couple other guys on there as well. Now they're showing the East. A couple of their starters is who the Lakers got coming up on Saturday night. Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns for the New York Knicks, Giannis, Tatum, and Donovan Mitchell. So Lakers are going to get a chance to see some really, really good talent on Saturday night. All right, let me get to some more of your comments here. I know probably Bron will talk soon. A couple of these other Laker players will talk, so we'll wait a little bit on that. Let me see what we got here. Okay. If he doesn't make a trade and improves his team too, Rob Pelinka, get him out of here. I don't know if he's not going anywhere. Let me tell you what happens to Rob. What happens to Rob is just the pressure mounts. Because here's what's going to happen. The moment, let's just say hypothetically, the Lakers didn't make a move. And I want to do this a little bit later because I want to stay on this game here for a little bit. But let's say the Lakers don't make a move. You're going to tell me the next time that the media is in front of Anthony Davis, the first question is not, hey, AD, you had asked for a big man. That didn't happen. What are your thoughts on the Lakers not making another move? When LeBron, after the Lakers lost to the Clippers, he said that, well, this is just kind of the construction of our team. We got no margin for it. They got to play perfect basketball. That's clearly a message to the front office. There's going to be a mic in front of LeBron that says, hey, you've talked about this roster. What do you make it now that this is an opportunity or the picks are still there? Whatever the question is. I just don't think he's going to put himself in that position. He's going to have players that would disagree with him, and then he's potentially going to have, obviously a fan base too that's like, well, what the hell are you holding on to all these picks for? If you're going to hold on to the picks, then be sellers. Don't be buyers. All right, nice handle, business win, thermometer game. I think it's barometer. I think barometer is what I said. But you want to go thermometer? We'll go thermometer. I'm open to anything. Just tuning in. Did the Lakers win? They lost by 18. Really tough game. Wizards are the class of the NBA right now. You got to watch out for the Wizards. How is this organization that bad? I honestly want to go through LinkedIn. I want to find out who the owner is with the Wizards. I want to submit my resume. My resume is just going to say, I can do exactly what your GM is already doing, but I can do it for half the price. Does that make sense? I want to go through LinkedIn. I want to send a LinkedIn message. I want to type in, Dear Owner, my name is Alan Sliwa. I can run the Wizards for 50% off. Like a sale, And maybe if I make the text big and like in green or something like that, maybe I'll catch the attention. They are so bad. So bad. Bronny haters only exist on the internet. Interesting comment right there. So let me ask you this question. Do you think that crowd is cheering for Bronny at the end of that game in a complete blowout? And listen, they're standing up. They're excited. Do you think they're doing it because they really want to see Bronny's game? Because they're not. They're doing it because that's LeBron's son. They're chanting MVP when he's at the free throw line. Do you think they're doing that out of respect? Or do you think they're doing that because that's LeBron's son? I don't think this is an internet thing. I think this is just reality. I mean, if I've said this before, I'll say it again with Bronny. I want that man to develop and have a true opportunity to see if he can be an NBA player or not. And it's going to be tough on the Lakers, clearly. And, however you want to look at it, he clearly should not have got playing time in that last game, 4 minutes in the first quarter. I already made the case about, minutes like that should be going to a guy like Shake Milton. But I guess it's part of the show with the Lakers right now. That's part of the show. And it's not his fault. I don't blame him for 1 second. I actually feel bad for him, to be honest with you. I think it's, unfortunately for him, he's not going to get the proper development that he should be getting. Let's see what else we got here. they're trolling and do want to see him on the court. Yeah. The best. Love some of these comments here. The guy doesn't listen. I love how everything I just said, which is trying to be in support of Bronny, and the guy responds with Bronny hater. All right. Good. If that makes you feel better than if you don't want to listen to anything I'm saying and just want to type in comments, then do it. It's your that's what the comments are open for. All right, let's see a couple more here. Just passive income for the Wiz owner. No question about that. Just an awful team. Okay, so couple more things I want to get into here. I want to play out something. I just want to see if they cut to LeBron, or if there's an interview that I think you guys will be interested in, then I'm gonna throw to it. But let me say this here real quick about kind of the positioning, I guess you can call it, for the Lakers. The positioning for them, the amount of games that they have left before the All-Star break. Let's cut in real quick. Let's get a little bit, just because we don't hear from him a lot. Let's get Max Christie's thoughts on the Lakers win.
Stops. We brought an edge to the game, that's for sure. Might have been towards the wrong people, but we came with a lot of fire, and that kind of helped us in game.
You've been shooting around 40% for the last 2 months now, and the volume is going up. JJ said one of the things has been the really sprinting hard to get to the corner. You got one of those tonight. Is it as simple as it sounds? You just have to really think about getting to that spot, and how did that evolve?
Yeah, just being in the right spots is pretty critical for me, especially with my three-point shot. We got guys that really draw a lot of attention, guys that can really score, so teams are going to cater to them. And if I'm in the right spot at the right time, I'm able to get a three off, get a dunk from a cut, or whatnot. So it is pretty simple. Just be in the right spot at the right time and be ready to shoot.
Max, you called it an edge. JJ said he thought it was an angry team that you guys played with tonight. And what was it like the last 36 hours or so since the Philly loss?
Just kind of us recuperating as a team, regrouping, coming back into a game like this, and kind of a must-win game for us, for our spirit and for our morale. So we wanted to come with a lot of fire, a lot of intensity. JJ made a point for us to play with an edge at the beginning of the game. So I thought we did a good job of that.
AD does
Christie's
so much. What are some of the things that everybody has to do, and maybe you individually, just knowing that he's not there in the back line?
Yeah, you got to be more solid on the ball as a guard for sure. We still got guys back there who are, tall and long and can really block shots, but obviously AD is one of the best in the league at that. And so for us, we got to step up our game on the defensive end as guards, keeping the ball in front and being physical and containing the ball. So, with him out, obviously it's tough for us as a team, but, the world's going to go on. So we got to, kind of adjust as a team and continue to try and win games.
Bronny's gotten the chance this road trip. It's been a while since he was kind of getting minutes with you guys. And obviously, you've taken an interest in his development this year. What do you see in
final
Bronny
one
James
here
now versus you saw when he was coming to training camp?
Yeah, the confidence has grown. He's a lot more assertive, especially offensively. Defensively, he's been really good as well. He got a couple deflections, got a few steals. He's just kind of making his presence felt, which is good for a young player. And he's really kind of coming into his own. And as he gets more games under his belt, as he starts to play more, confidence grows. He's getting better and better. So it's really good to see.
All right, we'll stop it right there. Max Christie's polished, by the way. That dude is polished. Interviews, he's polished. On the floor, he's getting more and more polished. I said this a little bit earlier. He's a player that I don't hear most Laker fans. Yeah, it's easy. Anytime you got this type of fan base, or you're reacting after a post-game show, or any of the shows that I do, it's easy to pay attention about how there is certain, how do I put it? There's certain, we can easily find flaws in certain players. I don't feel like a lot of Laker fans have too many negative things to say about Max Christie. I really don't. I don't feel like there's a lot of Laker fans that have something negative to say. It doesn't mean that the guy can't improve. It doesn't mean that, obviously the player, he's got a long way to go, but he's also progressing great. I saw a couple of people in the chat that were sitting back basically saying how this guy didn't get more opportunities last year. I know a lot of people are trying to make that argument. Well, he's getting those opportunities this year, and he's certainly making the best of it. Okay, so I'm going to spend some time on the schedule, but let me get to some of your comments here real quick, and then we'll go through it. Let's see what we have here. Christie and AD, the only two-way players that we have. Dorian Finney-Smith better be a two-way player. DFS got to be a two-way player. Gabe Vincent was supposed to be a two-way player. But I know what you're talking about on a consistent basis. All right, let's get another one here. Curtis, thank you for the super, brother. Really appreciate that. Very nice comment or very nice super there. So I appreciate you. Long-time listener, first-time caller. Slee, can you think of a time in NBA history where a team was in a similar situation to Lakers and made a midseason trade that catapulted them to winning it all? Winning it all is probably too tough of a bar to climb. But I'll tell you, teams that made trades and they were in the mix and they had a shot at winning it all. You could look at Dallas last year. They were a team that improved their roster, and that was without making, big time moves. They improved their roster. They made the right trades before the deadline, and then they got to the NBA Finals. Did they lose to Boston? They did. Was Boston the better team, the best team in the league? But I know what you're trying to say. But this is the spot that the Lakers are in. And I think I was talking about this a little bit this morning. There are a lot of teams right now that I think you look at the Western Conference. I'm not trying to make an argument that the Oklahoma City Thunder are not a really good team. I'm not trying to make an argument that Dallas can't get back to the finals or Denver's not a headache to the Lakers. There's some teams out there that are clearly headaches. But every team, there's not a lock. I don't really look at Thunder are the closest thing to a lock, but I still think you can dissect them enough and say, okay, well, let's just see them get to the finals before we say they're going to come out of the Western Conference. Let's actually see that come to fruition before people start saying, okay, hey, that's the class in the Western Conference, and it's going to be Boston, OKC in the finals, and no questions asked. I don't really think there are many teams like that. I think Memphis has some questions. I think Houston has some questions. Denver, I think, has some depth issues. Dallas, they got to be healthy. I think Dallas is going to be there. I think they're going to be really, really good. But obviously, they got to get Luka back, and they got to be healthy. So I think all these teams have a little bit of a question. So the reason why I answer it that way, that makes me then lean more towards, if you want to improve the roster, it's going to cost you. It's going to cost you. And it also doesn't help that your president of basketball operations has said over the last couple of years, I have these picks. Guys, I have these picks. We know that. You're going to use them or no? See what happens. All right, let's see. He was better off saying, instead of saying, what did he say? Was it last year he said you can't buy a house that's not for sale? Other teams were making trades, by the way. And then in the summer, he said something to the effect of, or maybe it was last trade deadline, I'm going to have 3 first-rounders that I can use. He was better off saying, guys, I didn't like the moves. I didn't like the deals that were out there. And I'm just going to not trade away first-rounders if I don't think it's going to have a tremendous impact for the Lakers, present and future. Case closed. Then you'd look at Rob and say, all right, well, he's got the best interest of the franchise, and he knows that there's pressure to win right now, but he's also saying that I'm not just giving away picks for somebody that's not worth that pick. So we'll see what plays out on that front. All right, let me get a couple more comments here. Curtis, thank you again for the super, brother. I appreciate you. All right, let's see what else we got here. Arthur. That's interesting. What kind of padlock doghouse is Cam in? No playing time at all. If you notice, they put Max back in a blowout before giving Cam some run. Yeah, Arthur, I'm with you on that. That one's a little interesting for me. He got some run against Philly, and I think there were some Laker fans out there saying, "Hey, why don't you use this guy a little bit more?" Can I tell you this about Cam Reddish? And I'm not trying to make this, unbelievable case that the Lakers season changes if Cam Reddish gets more playing time. But if there are minutes that you're saying to yourself, we need a spark, we need some energy, we need some toughness, throw Cam Reddish in the game. Throw him in. I don't think he got anything to lose. Because I can tell you Cam Reddish is not going to care about taking a shot. I think he will be incredibly aggressive. I think he'll, do his best on the defensive side of the ball. I think there are moments and situations where you can easily justify, let me get Cam Reddish 5 minutes here and let's see what he does. And if it's not working or teams are sagging off of him and he's taking shots that aren't going in or have no shot of going in, put him back on the bench. I don't know what that situation is with Cam, but yeah, he's really, really out of the rotation now. Thanks, Arthur. I appreciate you, brother. All right, let's get some more in here. Let's get a couple of these others. Let's see here. What happened to Reddish jump shot? He was a sharpshooter in high school and college. Yeah, that ain't there. You know, I asked him early in the season. We get a chance before games. You get an opportunity to interact with some of the players. Do it in the locker room. Sometimes, most of the time, there aren't players there because they know the media's got this like pocket they're going to be there. But other times, you'll just randomly you'll have opportunities to get with people. And it was early in the season. Reddish was playing well. And the Lakers were using him. And I had asked him. I told him, I asked, is it tough that when you're in games and you're really never looking for your shot, a shot is never created for you, bother you at all? He said, I'm used to it. That's kind of like his that's the way he's in the league. So he's just kind of accepted that role and he understands it. So that was early in the season where he was getting more opportunities. Certainly that hasn't been the case for a little bit here now. Okay. So Lakers now 1-1 without AD. They got 5 games left. You want to call it 1-1? The loss against Philly? Yeah, we'll just say, obviously he played for 10 minutes of that game. It didn't matter. 1-1 without Anthony Davis. They got 5 games left before the All-Star break. Let me play out the worst case scenario. Let me just play out that Anthony Davis is not available for the final 5 game of the season and he's out for 2 weeks plus. That's what it would be. And he's going to sit out the All-Star break too, and then he'll come back after that. It's 5 games. They're 8 games over 500. What's the worst that can happen? Can they go 2-3 in those final 5? If they can go 2-3 in those final 5, and let's just assume Anthony Davis does not play, you got 2 against Utah, 1 against the Golden State Warriors, and then 2 games that I think are just, basically scheduling losses. We'll get into that in just a second. Somebody we've never got a chance to listen to on the post game, Shake Milton.
I think a lot of it is just mental. It's the mental game. I feel like that's when that comes into play. It's when you're just thrust into a different situation, a different environment, and you kind of have to, move and run on the fly. Just taking that time to mentally prepare, regardless of what the result you're seeing, and staying locked in and staying in that mind frame. I think that helps a lot.
Did you feel your kind of confidence growing through the game? It seemed like you were playing a little more assurance.
I don't even know if it was assurance. I think it was just more so effort, like just whatever happens. Just go out there and know what the team's trying to accomplish, be smart and locked in on those type of things, but just get out there, play ball, have fun.
One of the things JJ told us is that he said he challenged you guys to play with an edge tonight. How did you think that went for your group, and were there any ways that you really saw that?
I think so. A couple guys got techs. Trey running through that guy's chest like that, getting that offensive foul. But just from the start of the game, we were locked in on getting stops. I think anytime we're able to get stops, rebound, and run, that's kind of like our recipe, just from what I've seen. And, we did a good job of doing that and just kept it up throughout the game.
JJ talked about you encouraging Bronny to play on the ball, be aggressive. Can you talk more about that?
Most definitely. I just felt like, when I was a two-way back then, my vets were telling me to do the same thing, get him an opportunity and trying to tell you to be aggressive. So, he's down there whenever he's in the G, he's showing out and doing his thing. So, yeah, man, you get up here, you get the opportunity. You got to go. You got to be aggressive. I told him that in the last game in Philly when he went in. He had like a butter call at the end of the shot clock, and I think he drove and passed it up or something like that. I just told him to be aggressive, man. You get your opportunity, go make it happen.
All right.
Without AD and some
Stop
other
it
guys
there.
banged up, you're
Shake Milton, I mentioned the 21 points, 7 of 8 from the field, had some opportunities. So you got to like that. Obviously, you got to like that. All right, let me get back to what I was saying here real quick. So, a couple things here. One thing I'll say is I was talking about the Lakers schedule, and 5 games left. You got Knicks balling. Knicks can win a championship. I actually think they can win a championship. I think Knicks and Celtics are – if you said Knicks and the Cavs are going to play each other in a 7-game set, I'd take the Knicks. Knicks are stacked. That roster is stacked. The thing is, I don't know how much depth they have. I know they're eventually going to get Mitchell Robinson back, but Lakers got the Knicks coming up on Saturday. Maybe I'm disrespecting the Cavs. That could easily be the case, but I got hesitation with the Cavs. I think they need to make a move. I think they need to go get a wing. So Lakers Knicks coming up on Saturday. Tomorrow, when I do my show, there's a guy who runs a YouTube channel called CK2K, and he just focuses on Knicks basketball. His name is Chris Clark, and I'm gonna have him on the show tomorrow. He's going to know everything about the Knicks, and we'll talk a little bit Lakers-Knicks. So he's going to come on tomorrow morning at 8:30. But you got Lakers-Knicks coming up on Saturday. Then you got Lakers-Clippers. I want to say it's on Tuesday. It's going to be 2 really tough games. Without Anthony Davis, I'm not expecting the Lakers to win either one of those games. I'm just not. And if they do, it's going to be a surprise. It would be unbelievable if they did. My bigger question I have is Golden State, Utah, and Utah. If AD is not able to go for these last 5 games, I'm taking 2 and 3. If you can go 2 and 3, you still find yourself by the All-Star break 6-7 games over 500. And you'll still be right in that mix where you need to be with Anthony Davis coming back healthy, with obviously Vandal getting some more minutes. Hopefully Dorian Finney-Smith, Gabe Vincent, all these guys can use this extra time off. And then we'll see if, obviously there's a deal to be done from Rob Pelinka before the trade deadline comes. All right, let's get another one here. MVP chance. How can Laker fans condone the way LeBron and the NBA has allowed Bronny to become a complete joke? It's so sad to watch. Let me tell you this. Entertaining, maybe. Doesn't do anything for me. It might be entertaining to the NBA and to the league. I would rather see Bronny in a position where he's actually developing. Not to say that you can't be developing, obviously, when all this is going on. But yeah, it's clearly they're not chanting it because they think he's the best player. They're chanting it more from a trolling perspective. He's in a tough spot. I don't know what else to tell you. Bronny's in a tough spot. Nothing he did wrong. The guy is trying to, obviously see if he can make it in the league, but the proper development to get is going to be different on the Lakers because his pops is one of the greatest players to ever play the game and is still on the team. Thank you very much for the super brother. I appreciate you sending that in. 2 games we're about to get cooked. Hey, tough games. I mean, Lakers got blown out with Anthony Davis against the Clippers. So, what do they do in these next couple of games? I'm not sure. I saw somebody else put on here 2 and 3 would be awesome. I'm saying that just being honest, right? The position that the Lakers are in right now, I would take they're 8 games over 500 right now. If they go into the All-Star break 6 or 7 games over 500, I'll take it. Because that means, and I'm just assuming here, I'm looking at the worst case scenario. Everybody has basically said Anthony Davis does not have a bad injury. He's just going to need some rest. Okay, let Anthony get treatment, rest, and he ends up some other kind of nicks and knacks that he has around his body. He's been dealing with that plantar fasciitis that he's been dealing with. You might let Anthony Davis, if worst case scenario, he's out until the All-Star break. I'll take 2 and 3 all day long. On this, obviously, what you don't want to see happen is they went on a, 4-game, 5-game losing streak to go into the break, and now all that work that they did to be 8 games over 500 just completely goes away, and now they're in the 10th spot or 9th spot as far as the standings go in the Western Conference. But I don't think that's going to happen. I don't. At least they got Utah a couple games. We'll see what they do before the trade deadline. If some of these other guys, Dorian Finney-Smith, Gabe Vincent, even if just those guys are available, maybe they could beat up on some of these teams that are not all that talented. I mean, don't get me wrong. The next 2 are going to be incredibly difficult. All right, couple more here, and then we're going to call it a night. Turner or bust? How about Jonas tonight? Valanciunas, not impressive. Not impressive at all. Zoo about to go for 30-30. Don't tell me that. You're probably right. Didn't Zoo go for basically 20 and 20? And that's with AD out there. All right, let's see what else we got here. A couple more, and then we're done. 45 minutes for a Lakers-Wizards postgame on a Thursday. I did not expect that. Kind of, I'm proud of myself. Proud of myself that I went 45 tonight. All right, let me get a couple more in, and then if LeBron talks, we're going to play it. If it's not LeBron, we're going to call it a night. We'll see if they're in commercial right now, so we'll see if that ends up happening or not. Yeah, I got some interest in the Knicks next game for the Lakers. I really do. I got some curiosity. That 5 that they throw out, I watched part of the Knicks and the Nuggets yesterday. So the Knicks were hosting Denver. And I'm watching that game, and it's like Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, Karl Anthony Towns. That's a 5. That's a solid 5. Guys that can play defense, guys that can hit shots, playmakers. You know, I still don't understand what the Minnesota Timberwolves were doing by trading Karl Anthony Towns, and they trade him to the New York Knicks. But that's a good team. So I got some curiosity. Tomorrow when I spend some time, like I mentioned, with Chris Clark, who covers the Knicks, I'm curious to kind of have an idea about how good that Knicks team is and how tough that game is going to be on Saturday. Okay, I'm back on tomorrow morning. I'm going to keep things kind of moving here. I think we already went far enough in the post-game show. I appreciate you guys hanging out. Thank you for being a part of the channel, the show, whether you're into the Sleewa show at 8 a.m. in the morning or the post-game show right here. Thank you for doing so. Please subscribe to the channel. Thank you for hanging out. I will be back tomorrow, and I will make sure to hang out. Let me get one more in here. Basketball side, best guys doing. Love your show. Shout out from New Zealand. My brother, thank you very much. I appreciate you. Thank you for the super, and thank you for the compliment. Thank you, everybody. Hope you guys have a great rest of your night. I will see you guys tomorrow morning. Thank you.